YouTube has become crazy. I mean, there's so much clickbait, it's so hysterical, it's become, you know, very showy, and I'd rather have a smaller audience but a quality audience that appreciate or connect with what I'm trying to do. Now, the thing is, I made a big mistake, as one does. I've made this platform seat too high. How did I do that? Well, I did it because I haven't visited my bird hide for 2 years or so. Expect you can hear the rain. It's rather satisfying to think that I built this, and I built it out of pre-machined timber. Most of the sections are already pre-machined, and I'm down here today to assemble the bench that will be a kind of platform to sit on, and also to put a little stove and cook on, you know, make myself a cup of tea, make some toast. So I cut the pieces of wood in my workshop and brought it down, but unfortunately the weather did say there would be showers. I'm kind of sitting here contemplating and just breathing in nature. I still feel about 30. I mean, I'm very lucky, I've got no aches and pains, but I tell myself I'm younger than I am. But also to refuse to get old, to stay young for as long as possible. They always say with a piece of wood you should keep it as long as possible for as long as possible. What I'm saying is, my mind tells my body that I'm still a young guy of 35. I mean, that's my right, you know. I don't have to disclose how old I am. It's nobody else's business, because for a start, none of us know how long we're going to be here. And also, some people are born old, and I was very lucky. I mean, I come from a pretty dysfunctional family, but I had an aunt who was a very famous international modern artist, and she was incredibly youthful. It was in her voice, it was in her paintings. Towards the end of her life, her paintings, you hear that pheasant, towards the end of her life, her paintings had that kind of childlike quality. So I'm passing time at the moment, a little bit cold. I've come down with my various tools. Got a hot melt glue gun here. I've got a drill, Ryobi 18-volt system. Not very well organised here. Haven't prepared this. Is totally off the cuff. Wonderful little impact driver. Do you know what? I've written several books on woodworking, and one of them many years ago on power tools, and I didn't know what an impact driver. Well, I'd never used an impact driver until recently, and it uses the same system. I've also got a fantastic nailer which runs off it, so I've fixed all this pine paneling with it. So my target today, if the weather clears up a little, is to complete this framework, which I'll do with, what I'll do is I'll mark out the members. They're mostly right angle joins. Just have a simple center line. I'll hot melt glue gun them together temporarily, and then I'll drill with a fairly hefty drill, and then use the impact driver to drive in one of these concrete nails. Now, don't tell me I can't use concrete nails on wood, because it works. I've used, I built a fence at my property 2 or 3 years ago, and also a bench for my CNC machine, and you know, you can put them in diagonally. I'm going to put these ones in, you know, that way, but they really act as kind of steel pins. I feel very lucky. I'm completely surrounded by greenery, and it's a lovely time of year. Spring is in the air. COVID-19 hopefully is behind us, but I have a horrible feeling that everybody will go mad and it'll all come back again, but we'll see. Now this cabin, I mean, I hardly used a ruler or a tape measure, because what does it matter? You know, I literally sat in it and measured distances from my head and my sitting position, how much knee room I had, and it really is minimal. You couldn't swing a cat in here. So this bench, again, it's been carefully considered. Hopefully I've got it right. You know, if I haven't, then I just unbolt it and modify it. You know, the whole idea started off as a concept on a sketch, and then really I just designed it and built it as I went along. It's good sometimes just to get away from the noise and the talking. I mean YouTube has become crazy. I mean, there's so much clickbait. It's so, you know, very showy, and I'd rather have a smaller audience, but a quality audience that appreciate or connect with what I'm trying to do. And in terms of practice, I mean, I'm trained in traditional woodworking. Because I understand tradition, I can move tradition on and look for innovative solutions. And I love the combination of hand methods and power tool methods. I think we're so lucky today to have the choice. You know, I can use a chisel, a spoke shave, a hand plane, or, you know, a cordless tool. You can hear the birds now. It is very peaceful, and you hear sounds that you didn't hear before, and they say that during COVID the bird song has really flourished. It's as though they've reclaimed their platform, and it's good just, you know, even though the weather is holding me up and this is kind of improvised, it's good just to stop. When I was younger, I was very aware that we're only here on this planet for a little while, and I just climb up a hill and I just lie and lean my head on the ground and just listen to whatever sounds were there, but just to stop being busy, to stop doing, to stop acting. I mean, we're in this kind of manic, technologically driven world of having an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, challenging every truth. So we've just got a constant stream, a cacophony of mistruth, and it's even overflowed into woodworking. I mean, okay, I'm slightly envious of a few guys who get millions in their audience, although one of my videos, I think I've got about 2.5 million views on routing, so I'm not complaining. But I'm definitely down in viewings compared to when I started. But there's just such a lot of flannel. And I'd rather just focus on sharing specific techniques or methods or solutions, innovative solutions to old problems or new problems. And so this is unusual for me, just to be facing the camera and not knowing what I'm saying, not even knowing who my audience is, you know, whether I'm judged as, an old guy, or judged by my accent, oh, he's posh, you know, all the crap I had to put up with at school about how other kids judged you. I mean, I've been my own person all my life. I had a father who discouraged me from woodwork. He banned me from using his workshop when I was young, teenager. He wanted me to be an academic, which I wasn't. So I grew up believing I was completely stupid and forever feeling guilty that I lost my mother in childbirth. It wasn't actually my fault. My mother died out of hospital neglect. She was warned against having another child because she had a weak constitution, and she died of a duodenal bleeding or whatever in a country cottage hospital. And it hurts. because mothers have a huge influence on people, even men of my age and younger, and say, oh, maybe they have controlling mum, but you try surviving without a mum. I don't know a single other human being who doesn't have a mum. And I kind of survived it in my childhood, but the older I get, the more it's like a dagger being stuck into me and wrenched when I hear of the influence that mothers still have on grown men, that a lot of them couldn't achieve what they have achieved if they didn't have a mum who really loved them and believed them. I had none of that, and it kind of, I'll be perfectly frank, the abuse my father dealt out, I was able to channel positively into my woodworking, that kind of anger that I'll get up and show them. And I became one of the top makers in Britain. I'm nobody today, but for 3 decades I was regarded, not my words, but the media, the crafts media, regarded me in the top rank of innovative woodworkers. And I know who I am, and I still have these ideas, but it's a very different world today. There's no sense of history. Everything is the now, and there are all these gurus have suddenly cropped up from nowhere that become YouTube, kings of woodworking, and that's fine, but they've come up from nowhere. In this field, there's such a thing as an apprenticeship, and you're still learning. But it turned out I shouldn't complain. I'm grateful for my health. That's the most important thing. I think I'm healthy. I never go anywhere near doctors, but touch wood. And I feel young. I struggle with motivation quite a lot. The things that rescue me are wood. Even though there are times I'm screaming to get away from it, I come back. Wood rescues me, and also music, playing guitar. However, I've probably divulged enough about my inner self, but I am very grateful for the few encouraging comments I get. I hope in return that I inspire people. The one thing I am confident at in life is my woodwork, and if I can rub off that without sounding arrogant to anybody, you never, just don't worry about what other people think about you. As I say, I had all the discouragement in the world. I even went to grammar school where woodwork was it was looked down upon, and I stuck with my beliefs, and I've dedicated my whole life to using my hands and my mind, and it's a wonderful, wonderful gift to have. And because it involves taking risks, and I could never take the risk on getting married, and yet everybody around me is married with kids. Terrified me, still would if I was in the market. Obviously I'm not, but I was when I was a young man, and women were looking for men to have babies with, and I escaped it because I was terrified. I once had a guy came up to me at a woodworking show because I was demonstrating the router in London at a show, and he was in this queue of people, and he was very quietly spoken. He said, my wife bought me a router last Christmas. I'd been afraid to take it out of the box. And I found myself saying to him, now, I bet you anything, you're a father, and he nodded his head, and you're a grandfather, and he nodded his head. And I said, I bet you got married like rolling off a log when you were a young man. And here you are, afraid to use this tiny little machine that, okay, it makes a noise. And I said, I'm not afraid of the router, not one iota, but I was terrified of what you and probably millions of other people do without thinking. So it's a funny old world. Enjoy the day, enjoy the moment. We can never repeat this moment. Thank you for watching.